All right, so now we're going to dive into one of the most common questions that we get, and that is, what is the difference between the Havik 15 paddles and the Clash 15 paddles? Within this lineup of paddles, we obviously have the Havik 15 Pro, the Havik 15 All Court, and then we have the Clash 15 Pro and the Clash 15 All Court. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not trying to go into the materials of the paddle. Simply, let's try and understand the shape of the paddle and why that makes the paddle perform the way it does. So the easiest way to do this, and without diving in too deep, is let's talk about the shapes of the paddle. The Havik 15 paddle is 16.5 inches long, so that is from the head of the paddle to the bottom of the handle, 16.5 inches long, and it is 7.5 inches wide, and it has a 5.33 inch handle. Now, in comparison, the Clash paddle is 16.2 inches long, so it is 0.3 inches shorter than the Havik paddle, but it is 7.7 inches wide, so it is slightly wider than the Havik paddle. And it has a 5.5 inch handle, so it is a little bit longer by 0.2 inches longer than the Havik paddle. But really, what is the big difference? So with the Clash paddle, because it is a little bit wider, you're going to feel that the sweet spot, you have more sweet spot side to side here rather than from the top to the bottom. Versus the Havik paddle, your sweet spot is going to be centered a little bit higher because the paddle is longer. Now, while these paddles are constructed essentially the exact same, the Pro paddles are constructed the same as the All Court paddles are also constructed the same, they do still play very different. Because the Havik paddle is built with this patented design, the weight of the paddle is shifted deeper into the handle of the paddle, so it is quite whippy, especially for an elongated paddle. You are going to feel that you get more power out of this Havik paddle because it is a little bit longer. You have more mass towards the head of the paddle, which in turn is going to help carry and drive through the ball better, producing more power. Whereas your Clash paddles, while you still have a lot of power, generally it's going to feel like you have a little bit more control because of the shape of the paddle and because the sweet spot is wider. Other than that, the paddles are essentially, like I said, built just about the same. The cores are the same. The materials used on them are the same. Other than the dimensions, they are essentially the same paddles, but because the dimensions of the paddle and the way that the weight is shifted, they do play quite different to one another. One paddle is not better than the other. It is simply comes down to whatever paddle you are more comfortable with. While the Clash, or the rounded top shaped paddle, is a very popular shaped paddle, this is the paddle that I've been personally playing with from the beginning, and it is one that I'm very comfortable with. But again, that does not mean that this is the best paddle. This is what I'm comfortable with. At the end of the day, it really comes down to what you are most comfortable with. Both are amazing paddles, and I hope this helps to clarify a little bit about the two shapes.